The past 2 weeks, the discussion in Washington has been about trust. It's been about trust on whether we're talking about the false and misleading talking points that were used by the administration in Benghazi, the wiretapping of reporters, specifically the AP, by the Justice Department, or the IRS illegally targeting conservative groups. The public trust in our government is rightfully at an all-time low. So when we're debating immigration reform, obviously trust is the #1 issue on people's mind, because they know that the government often promises to do things but never follows through. And that is the case when we're talking about immigration. And we're talking about the laws that are already on the books that I'll talk about in just a few minutes. But people have made it very, very clear. Americans have made it very clear that they want two main things. They want us to secure our border. Primarily, we're talking about our southern borders, where the issue seems to be at hand today. But they want our borders secured, and they don't want amnesty. They don't want to give away citizenship rights to folks who have broken the laws to come here. Because what happens is you water down what it means to be a United States citizen when you just carte blanche give those citizenship rights away to folks that are lawbreakers, that have broken the law to come here, regardless of how honorable and good intention their reasons for coming here are. They still broke the sovereign laws of the United States of America by crossing that border without permission, without legal immigration paperwork. They have broken the United States law. And what's interesting is that currently almost half the people in the United States who are here currently illegally, they didn't walk across a southern border, or they didn't walk across a northern border. They came here legally. They applied in their host country, their home country, at a United States consulate or a United States embassy. And they asked permission to come to the United States, either as a tourist here on vacation. They asked to come here to attend one of our fine universities in this country under an F1 student visa. Or they came here on some sort of work visa. And they probably flew into this country through an airport or got off a ship. And we know something about them. America, these visa overstays, we call them, people that came here legally. They had those interviews. We know who they are. We have their name. We have what they were coming here to do. Usually we have a last known address for that person. Folks, this is low-hanging fruit. And if we're going to talk about addressing illegal immigration in this country, we ought to first address the visa overstays. We ought to first address, America, the folks that came into our country illegally. They asked our permission to come here, and we granted them that permission. And then they just decided, and I understand them deciding because this is a great country, but they just decided they liked it so much they would decide to stay. And how do we know that? Well, we really don't know that they either have or have not left the country, because this nation has a failed exit system. We have an entry system where we know when they come into this country from another country under a visa where we've granted them permission, but we really don't know when they leave. Japan knows when you leave that country if you're there as an immigrant or you're there as a tourist. Other countries do as well. Currently, over half or almost half of all illegal aliens in this country came here legally, and we're not doing enough about it. We're not enforcing the laws that are on the books, and that doesn't do anything to build. I talked about it at the beginning, and that is the people's trust. And then you throw into the fact that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE we call it, they just released thousands of detainees, people that they had detained for immigration violation. And they just opened the door and let them go, many of which had criminal records. And this was a pre-response to the sequester. Before the sequester actually kicked in, the across-the-board budget cuts, our immigration enforcement officials decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead and apply sequester because we don't want to do our jobs. We don't want to detain these people. We're going to open the daggum jail cells and we're going to let them go. Take that, guys, in Congress. We're doing the sequester the way we want to do it. And they let these people go, many of which Americans have criminal records, and they're on the streets now. That doesn't do anything to build the people's trust. Not a thing. We're talking about trust. we've got to secure our border. We've got to enforce the current immigration laws that we have. We don't need some comprehensive immigration reform package. We already have the laws on the books that deal with immigration issues in this country. And we are not enforcing those. So why are we going to create a whole other set of laws and then fail also to enforce those? If our government can't first prove that our legal immigration system works and that they can enforce the laws that are currently on the books, then why in the world will we believe that adding more stress to the system will improve things?